Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, guys.
Look at all these amazing faces. All these amazing faces. Okay, if you're on the call, we have some awesome special guests today. We have some amazing announcements to make. And although we love seeing all of your incredible names pop up on the screen, remember we transitioned this from webinar style to meeting style in the hopes that we would be able to see our Experience Network family. So if you are able and properly dressed, at least from the neck up, please turn your camera on so we can see you and interact with you. This is going to be an interactive meeting this morning. Wow, Chris, look how many people made the choice to turn it on. Clicking on. Okay. A few more. Good morning, you guys. All right. Well, let's get started. I know we were live broadcasting. This is 9:03. We had an appointment at 9 o'clock, so we are going to get rocking, you guys. Welcome to our monthly State of the Industry call for October. We've got some awesome announcements today. We are releasing the first week results of our listing competition, an incredible guest, and we are going to wrap this thing up at the end with Chris dropping some knowledge on us, as well as some announcements for some upcoming value items. So let's get started. The first thing that we're going to go through today is, oh wait, hold on. Here we go. Congratulations. We are so excited. This is the second year in a row that the Experience Brokerage Network has made the top workplace recognition for 2020 and 2021. It is all thanks to you guys, your amazing feedback. And we ranked in the number 4 in the state of Oregon and Southwest Washington for businesses over 500 employees or independent contractors. So a huge shout out for you guys and making such an incredible experiential life here at the Experience Brokerage Network. So please feel free to share the information. We have also been featured in the Oregonian as well as the Northwest region, and you can grab and snag, and Jet will help us out with that. Those incredible articles featuring you, our agents at the network. But that's not all the news for this morning. We've got the fourth quarter takeover is back. This is our third year, Jet, third annual fourth quarter takeover. And for those of you who are new to the fourth quarter takeover, this is our listing domination contest. So how does it work? Every single time that you take a listing from October 1st through December 31st, you are entered into the competition. A couple of key things: the listing must have been taken after October 1st, and it must be entered in command. So we are excited to announce the results of the first week of October. For those of you who saw it, in the first week, we listed 54 listings across the network. KWRP taking the lead as a market center with 17, Eugene with 15, Capital City with 11, Sunset Corridor with 8, and Southern Oregon with 3. Now, some of you might be thinking, wow, 850 agents across the state of Oregon and 54 listings. I'm just going to let that sit there for a second. So what is leading to the 54 listings? Well, we're going to go circle back to a conversation that we just had is the listing must be in contract and the listing must be uploaded in command to count as a listing. So we know that you guys as a network took far more listings in week 1. We are hoping that shows up in the tracking in week 2. How it works is we tally all of the listings taken on Friday at 5 o'clock, and those results will appear on the Monday Experience Network email. So check on Monday, every single Monday, to see who our leaderboard is. This week's leaderboard goes as follows. In our 4 categories, rookie, solo, team, and group. Huge congratulations to Naseem for our rookie category with 1 listing. Our solo agents from across the network, Nate Sanford, Lisa-Ann Brown, Nick Nelson, Carly Peterson, all took 2 listings last week. And of course, in our team category, the Burke team, Brock Real Estate, Jill Woods, Woodmark Wright Realty Group all took 3 listings. And leading the way in our group category, the Benson Broker Group throwing down with 4 listings in a single week. So congratulations to our leaderboard winners. We're excited to see how week 2 goes. And remember, get out there, get those listings and get them uploaded in command. I see Jordan nodding her head. Yes, get them in command. All right. Now, before we transition to our incredible guests today, we are going to do a very quick market update. I have been glossing over this for the last couple of months because there hasn't been a significant amount of new information. So for those of you who are tapping in for the first time, of course, we're going to tell a very similar story, but there is an interesting graph I want you guys to focus on across the state of Oregon. So in Portland Metro, congratulations, you had an increase of 0.1% in your listing inventory. So we are now looking at the highest inventory rate since October of last year, and we're at a 15.2% increase in new listings taken. That's 8.3% increase year to date. Now we're still soaking up that inventory at a very high rate. So of course, same story, you guys. It's all about the listings, not necessary for a lack of homes hitting the market, but that insatiable buyer need as they continue to soak it up. Now, what is interesting, and you will start to see the difference of our different market areas across the state of Oregon, is this graph. And if you take a look at what the trend is, we've had many conversations in our mastermind groups of what's happening out there and what the inventory looks like. Well, you guys, it's changing slowly, but as you can see, we have a steady increase in 2021 of that listing inventory. Still far below what we saw in 2019. We have almost caught up to where we all were in 2020, but we will continue to see if this is a trend that will continue into 2022. All right, same conversation with Lane County. Once again, congratulations, Lane County agents. You win the prize for the lowest inventory rates in the state of Oregon. You have kept that crown all year long. So that's the win there, not necessarily a win for you. However, once again, this is the highest inventory level that you've seen since September of last year. Listings are up 5.1% and 5.9% year to date. Same conversation largely that we're seeing in the Portland metro area. Once again, take a look at your trend line. Steady up, had a small dip there. We went one listing September over August, so congratulations. But you're still seeing that steady incline. So as we're watching that market, you might start to feel the shift. The truth is that it's actually been shifting for some time, but just very slowly. Salem. Starting to see a different story in our Salem. You guys have 1.8 or 1.69 months of inventory, so you're still down 10% from last year. What's interesting is you are the only graph in the state of Oregon that is that decline right now over this last 2 months. So you kind of saw that high in July and have gone back down and dipped a little bit in your listing inventory. So this one is the anomaly in the state of Oregon. Jackson County, Josephine County down in the south, you guys take a look at that red line. Same conversation that we're seeing across the state of Oregon, except in our Salem area with quite a large increase of your listing inventory in both Jackson and Josephine County. You are at up to 2.4 months of inventory in Josephine County at this time and 1.76% in Jackson County. I know it seems crazy to celebrate that number. but you're over 2 months of inventory, which is a number that we have not seen for now years. So congratulations. We have some more listings to share with our clients and the community. So, all right, you guys, that was the big takeaway from today is listing inventories are actually on the rise, and we'll see how that plays out and continue to track it as we close out 2021. Whew. All right, that covers our market of the moment. Let's get rocking and rolling, and let's start talking about how we prep for 2022. There's been a lot of conversations lately about it being business planning season. And when we talk about business planning season, we need to first start with mindset. So I had the opportunity to be part of a leadership call on Tuesday, and it was just such an incredible reminder of the mindset that we need to have when we're setting goals and setting our schedule, and the power of focus. So today I'm very excited to announce our special guest. She's the Director of Content and Customer Experience and the co-host of The One Thing with Geoff Woods, which you guys are all very familiar with. I love this. She facilitates learning in a myriad of industries representing small businesses, corporate and nonprofit organizations. She is a master of The One Thing. Please welcome to the call, Miss Kaelyn Loes.
Thank you, Leslie. It's an honor to be here. It really is. Thanks for inviting me into your Zoomiverse and to chat with you all, because I know that as we get into Q4, I mean, I can hardly believe that it's already Q4. There's only so much more time in the year left. And so it always matters how we invest our time. But as we move forward through the end of the year, that becomes really critical. And we start to notice it more because that counterbalancing between our personal and professional life starts to get real. So what I'm going to do, Leslie, I'm going to try to share my screen in a moment. Oh, here we go. Are you ready? All right. Can everybody see my screen? So how many of you feel like right now you have too much to do and not enough time? If that's you, put me in the chat box. Yes, so many of us. There's so much going on, and our calendars tend to start to fill up, especially with things that matter to us, things that we must get done. How many of you feel like you're working really hard and trying to balance all the things on your plate? You could be on a path to burnout. Getting closer to the year, you start to feel like, how am I going to do this? What are the pieces of my life that are getting out of balance and that I need to get more alert on so that I don't burn out? All of us have been there. All of us are there right now. I think especially after the last 18 months, it's been quite the year with a lot of things that were on our plates. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a game to illustrate some solutions to that. So Leslie said at the beginning, I see your faces. I'm so glad that your cameras are on. Get ready to stretch. You're going to get out of your chair even. So we're going to play a game, and it's called the One Thing Scavenger Hunt. And before I click to the next slide, this is how it works. There is going to be a list of items on the slide that you can run around your house. All of you have, maybe you're in the office, maybe you're in the house. They're items that I want you to gather, and they each have a point value. So you're going to be collecting the items. Here they are. You can take a look. You can start to gander. You cannot leave your seat yet. They should be all around. Your goal is you win by getting the most points possible in the least amount of time. So you will have 1 minute to gather all the things you need. And if you have a lot of paper clips, 100 paper clips equals 100 points. You can look through these. 100 pens equals 100 points. So I would like you to, I'm going to count you down, and you can run around your house to gather all the things and come back when I'm going to bring you back. So ready, set, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go get all the objects. Go get your points. I wish I had some tunes. I won't sing. It's not worth it. Leslie, do you have some tunes? Are you a good singer for thinking, gathering songs?
I was so unprepared. Jet, do we have?
No worries. Supermarket.
Clarification question.
Yes.
Can the selfie with your family member double as the take a picture with the one thing pose?
Yes, I'll take that. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Oh, and I can't wait to see those pictures of you posing. And with family members, I love that. So you've got coffee cups, sunglasses, cough drops, almonds. Everybody loves a good almond.
I feel, you know what, Kaelyn, I should have known better because I thought about this. So for the sake, you guys, we're gonna get a little Jeopardy, like do 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 do. How much time do we have?
About 30 seconds.
30
About
seconds.
So if you can hear my voice, you got about 30 seconds to gather all your points. If you can't hear my voice, it means what was that?
Oh, we got the music.
Nice. That.
With all these faces, everywhere I go, I keep singing out.
All right. The final hour has come. Gather back to your desks with all of your points in tow. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Join us back, and when you come back, I'd like you to add up all your points and put the number of points in the chat box. So I see some of you have come back. I can't wait to see you. I can't wait to see your points. Stephanie, you've got 8. Nasim, 253. Mercy.
Yes.
Matthew, 5 million, almost 6 million, 3,000. Stephen, are you scratching your head wondering, what? 13 from Jim. Who else has -12? Mercy, tacos are my superpower. I'm so disappointed. -12 seems like that hurts my heart. 128.
No, you got the disappointed bird.
Indeed. I also had a lot of high hopes for tacos are my superpower just because tacos are my love language. So we are on the same page. 2,800, 222. So Matthew, Clace, if you're available to take your mic off mute and if I can see your face on your camera, I'd love for you to share what was your strategy? Because that's a lot of points. Probably had a stack of paper clips.
I lied.
Oh, mercy. So that was a dishonest point attribution from Matthew. The next highest points that I had were Maurer Group Realty. Are you there?
Yeah, this is Haley with Maurer Group Realty, and I have jars and jars and jars and jars and jars of foreign coins.
Oh, I like it.
There's more here, but I estimated that I had 300 coins.
So when you think about the results, you had 3,000 points. It was a bit of an estimation because there were so many to count. The majority of your points came from how many different items?
There would be 300 times 10 per item.
So of just those coins, is that correct?
Yeah.
So the reason I bring this up, and who else had a lot of points? I saw 736 XBN. What about you? What was your strategy? Can you share?
Lots of pens and paper clips, and I have the one thing book, and I have my 411 template up, and I'm like everything. Okay, I got everything.
All the things. So the big question that I want to ask, especially for those of you that got so many points, it sounds like the majority of your points came from like one, maybe two things. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Even though all of you have very equipped desks, I'm also jealous that you all have so many paper clips and things. What we find is that this scavenger hunt, what we've learned is it's a great demonstration of one of the lies from the book. Lie number 1 is that everything matters equally. We know that when you go and you hone in on one thing, whether it's, I can't remember our first guest, Haley, when she was saying she knew she had all these coins. She's like, I've got that covered. I'm just going to focus here because I don't want to run around my house trying to get a paper clip here, a pen here, a selfie here. There's a layer of that process where every day we often are scrambling to do all the things and we spread ourselves thin, racing after paper clips when essentially you could have one or two of the activities that you invest your time in could get you the majority of your results. And thanks for playing with me. Thanks for playing that game, because it's an exercise I want you to remember. Next time you're looking at your calendar and you see 17 different colors pulling you in 17 different directions, and it's when you start to look at how you invest your time, the majority of your results come from a few things. Sometimes it's even just one thing. So as you look at 2022, I see these jokes in the chat box that your OCD, those sorts of games can make it tricky. Sometimes with the complexity of those sorts of games, our brains cannot manage that, especially when we go into Q4 and we're closing out this year, where our time, how we invest it, matters so much. In order to prioritizing and time management, that's exactly correct. So looking forward, really looking at your approach to how you look at your time, how you invest it, how you prioritize what matters most. We have a solution at The One Thing that I'd love to invite you to join us to experience, because it really is a special thing that makes a world of difference as you go into planning your 2022. Every year, every November, we host The One Thing Goal Setting Retreat. It's for couples and individuals. It started with the legacy of Jay and Wendy Papasan. They have been setting goals together for 16 years as a couple, and they shared their framework with us. It's both asking big questions, thinking way out in the future, and using a lot of the principles of The One Thing to set big goals and start to plan a big life. So every year they revisit those goals. And as a community at The One Thing, we do that collectively, and we facilitate the experience for people to join us so that they can do the same. This year we have a virtual and in-person event where we'd love to invite you to join us. Last year we did a fully virtual, and I don't know about you, but during the pandemic and during 2020, there were a lot of pivots and a lot of changes that we made to our business and to our lives that ended up teaching us big lessons that I'm so grateful for. One of them was we hosted our goal setting retreat virtually, and we ended up reaching over 2,000 people across the globe. We had people logging in the middle of the night to set their goals on the other side of our planet. And it was a really powerful experience, because not only were we setting goals and casting a vision for our lives, but we were casting it in synergy and with this collective of other big thinkers and high achievers that were thinking big about the future. So this year we're hosting it on November 13th and 14th. You can attend virtually or in person in Austin, Texas. VIPs, you'll attend live at Lakeway Spa and Resort in Austin. I was just commenting when we got on the call, Chris was wearing a sweater. Here in Austin, we're still not wearing sweaters yet. We've still got pool weather. So we're doing our retreat at Austin. There will be pools, there will be sunshine. And in our community, the Living Your One Thing community, we have people that join us to not just set goals, but also to build a plan so that they can accomplish them, and belong to a community of high achievers and like-minded individuals to help them on that path. What we found is that you on this call, you're really fortunate and one of the minority of people that are surrounded by other big thinkers and high achievers. Most people need to find those people in their lives. And if you need more of them, the Living Your One Thing community is that community. So when you join to set your goals and achieve your goals as an annual member, you get a free general admission ticket, which means you can join us virtually. And over 70% of attendees joined as members last year, because there's a lot of ways to set goals. Jay Papasan always says, the world doesn't need a new way to set goals. If you Google how to set goals, you'll find dozens and dozens of articles. You can set goals with a half glass of champagne on New Year's Eve. People do it all the time. But it's the difference between knowing how to set goals, but actually how to accomplish them and how to put a plan in place so that you can take your big, wildest dreams, break them down into actionable steps that you put on your calendar, you invest time in, and you daily, weekly, monthly, and every year you start whacking away at the big goals so that you can build the extraordinary life you want. I also have team discounts available if you wanted to attend with your whole team for 10 or more tickets. Some teams, what they're doing is they're inviting their team to attend virtually with their significant other so that they can set goals as a couple. And as a leader, you can help invest in that whole person. So they get to spend the time in the weekend to set goals and get a big vision for their life with their significant other. And then you can leverage the same framework to work as a team at a later date where you set your own team goal setting retreat. So it's a really cool opportunity to not just invest in the professional lives of the people you work with, but also in their personal lives and in the extraordinary life that they want to build. This is the framework and how it works. So like I mentioned, it's really in the legacy of what Jay and Wendy Papasan have started. And we integrate some of the principles of the one thing so that you can not just think big, but also build a plan to make it possible. So thinking big is a muscle that so many people struggle with. It's really interesting, even for myself. The first time I started to think big, I felt like I didn't even know how to, because I had worked so hard to have gratitude for the moment. I hadn't exercised the muscle to be thankful for the moment and to think bigger about what was possible. So when you join us, we have exercises designed to help you think bigger about what's possible for your personal and professional life. You'll also discover your core values. We have this core values deck. I don't know if you guys have seen it before. It's an exercise that we facilitate where you get to really take inventory of who you are, what is your compass that guides your decision making, and what are your top 3 core values, and then we rank them in order of priority. Some of our attendees, I have one couple in mind in particular, Mark and Jenny Donahue. They did this exercise, and it was so cute because Jenny's like, I discovered my core value is efficiency. And she's like, who likes efficiency? Like, how uncute is that? But they realized as they were talking through it that value of efficiency was actually one of the key things that helped their family really pursue the fun things that Mark was his core value. So when they started working together and they started to discover these words and these ideas that really were a magnet for how they made decisions and how they chose their life, it really can reveal a lot for what can become possible when you work on those together. You'll set goals aligned with what matters to you. So sometimes we set big goals and sometimes we don't achieve them and we wonder, I wonder why that didn't happen. And often it's because it's not aligned with a bigger purpose. It's not aligned with our big why. And starting to take inventory and really examine what are the things that matter most to me someday from now? How can I be on track 5 years from now and 1 year from now so that those can become a possibility? You'll create a plan to accomplish those goals, and then you'll be on track for your someday vision of your life. It's a really simple process, and we facilitate it for you so that you can, in one weekend, you can really get all of the principles of the one thing in like high density form, and then you get to go out and you have a plan to accomplish your goals in 2022. We have 3 ways to join. You can join us as a Living Your One Thing member. It truly is one of the greatest privilege of my job is that I get a front row seat to people achieving their goals and living their extraordinary lives. So when you join, we really work together to troubleshoot where you might be facing challenges, to build your GPS. We work with the 411 so that you can stay accountable to the goals that you set. And that is with a year of membership. When you join, you get a free ticket to join us virtually. You can also join virtually just as a single ticket, and you'll join for that weekend. All of the retreat activities and the streaming, it's all recorded, so you'll have access through the end of the year, which is, and then you can revisit. And also, if you miss some of it through that weekend, you can just go back and revisit the recordings. Or we'd love to see you in Austin. We're really honored and so thrilled to get to be together in person again this year. So at Lakeway Resort, we're going to be there in person on Saturday and Sunday, setting our goals in real life, like the good old days. And to get your tickets, you can just visit theonething.com/setmygoals. That's theonething.com with a number 1 in the URL. And that's a wrap. I'm curious, do you guys have any questions? As I shared a little bit about the experience and what we have in store, are there questions that you have that I can help answer as I'm here? No, yes. What about Leslie? Do you have any questions?
Kaelyn, thank you guys. First of all, we are dropping all the links directly into the chat box. We will also have all this information in our wrap-up email. And Kaelyn, one of the things that I took away from that exercise, I've done it twice now, is that sometimes we think we're doing it the right way, the best way, the most efficient way. And it was very interesting to see that there was 100 people on this call and none of them accomplished the number that we accomplished on Tuesday. And that's perspective, right? The sharing of ideas and having an opportunity to attend an event like this and share ideas and learn from other people that may have an easier, simpler way, right? I dropped it in the chat box. And the takeaway from Tuesday was you didn't have to leave your desk. You didn't have to get out of your chair. every single one of you has a cell phone beside you, and you could have simply put it on burst mode and sat there and taken 1,000 photos of yourself. The simplest, easiest way could have won the game. And it just didn't come to light with 100 minds on this call. Isn't that a cool takeaway? And now you know. So for those of you guys who are hoping that focus or needing that focus, we had a lot of me's say they were overwhelmed at the beginning. Hopefully this will be something that you can take away and enjoy. So
thanks for that takeaway. And Leslie, it's so funny because it is the simple thing. And when you hear it, you're like, oh, a selfie. I could have just burst mode and got so many points. What was I thinking? But our lives are that way. There's so many distractions that pull our attention. And there are things that shout really loudly that are not a worthwhile investment of your time, but it's very easy to race to the urgent thing, race to the loud thing, and to run around. And then then you're left feeling overwhelmed. And you look up at the end of the day and you're like, what did I get done? Did I get any closer to my goals? And starting to learn how to ask those questions and think, what's the simple approach? What's the one thing I can do? And really that practice of thinking big about what's possible, but also narrowing your focus to the most impactful, the most efficient, and the most simple thing you can do. It's truly a game changer. And I would just love to invite you to join us as we set goals, because when you do it in a community and like Leslie said, when you're surrounded by like-minded high achievers that are on that path, your mind expands, the possibilities expand, because we learn from each other and we grow from each other. So thanks, Leslie. I appreciate the time. I appreciate you running around your house and gathering paper clips and coins. And I hope that the lesson of that activity sinks in and that you carry that with you so that you can continue to invest your time on what matters most. And you can prioritize the activities that truly will make an impact and bring you closer to your goals.
Awesome. Kaelyn, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure. Thank you for the activity and all the fun and interaction. We really appreciate you. Okay, well, no state of the industry is complete. Of course, we are going to welcome to the spotlight Mr. Chris Suarez. What kind of info, knowledge, inspiration do you have for us today?
Thanks for the time, Leslie. That exercise was enlightening, actually. Not only that there were easier ways to win, but also when you run around and collect all the things, you end up with an incredibly messy desk or a messy business or a messy life. And so I think the side lesson that I learned was perhaps more valuable than the win that comes from just sort of taking a moment and collaborating about how to do this better. So thanks for bringing her in, Leslie. I appreciate you doing that. So here's what I wanted to talk about. This month and really this quarter, our big focus as a group is really to increase our listing inventory. And as I look across our network and across the state and across our local markets, man, it continues to be difficult. It continues to be difficult to find and curate those listings and get those listings signed and get those listings launched. If we stop and reflect the fact that we celebrate when we hit 1 month of inventory in any market, right? Let alone across all of our markets. It puts a lot in perspective, and looking sort of big picture back over the last 12 months and seeing that, man, it's been a long time. Like some of us actually have never sold real estate in a market with more than 1 month of inventory because we've gotten our license and we've launched our careers in the lowest inventory moments in the history of selling real estate. So today I want to talk about a topic that many people for the last probably 18 months have been saying, well, this is going to solve our problems. And that is called mortgage forbearance. Anyone know what happened on September 30th? Why was September 30th a big date in the real estate industry? Anyone can unmute and share what happened on September 30th. Nobody knows what happened on September 30th. That's okay. It was pretty nondescript. Yeah, okay, Evan, I see your chat now. No more moratorium. Yeah, on September 30th, guys, the expanded mortgage forbearance program began to wind down. And there's been a lot of talk about all these mortgages in forbearance, right? That, hey, take a pause. You don't have to pay your mortgage. We'll put it back on the end. Well, on September 30th, that was the end of that mortgage forbearance, which basically means that people need to start paying their mortgage. And so over the last 18 months, there's been this conversation of, gosh, the market's going to get flooded, watch for REOs, we're going to see foreclosures. And so with that in mind, I wanted to share some data today that we can use to make calls to potential sellers, to call people or present to people as we get invited into their home to talk about selling, on both sides of that conversation, why it could motivate someone to sell, or why maybe someone is waiting for your call to potentially have a conversation of what their home is worth and potentially listing their home. Now, here's what's interesting. There's been a lot of talk of what is going to happen as this mortgage forbearance winds down. And what we know to be a fact is, well, we don't know, because this has never happened before. There's never been a forbearance wind down like this, making sort of the results, or some would say consequences, if you want to be dramatic, but making the results of this wind down somewhat uncertain. But let's unpackage all the data so we can form our opinions, and then we can share those opinions with the marketplace or our clients or our past clients. At its height, the mortgage forbearance program protected 7.2 million homeowners. So 7.2 million homeowners across the country took advantage of the mortgage forbearance program. And that number has been sort of thrown around. And that's why there's been a lot of news sources and even some uneducated economists, dare I say, but some that said, gosh, there's 7.2 million people that have gone into forbearance. Like, this is a problem. Like, we're going to see a flood of inventory. Maybe this is the next bubble in real estate. Now, here's the real data around those 7.2 million. As the economy improved, right, and it did since the beginning of that program got instituted as a protection, as a safety, right, net, and it was a good program in theory, right? As the economy improved, well, guess what? The unemployment rate dropped. It went from 15% at its peak during the pandemic to about 5.2% in April. We're a few months behind there, but 5.2%. No, I'm sorry, 5.2% in August of 2021, so a couple months behind. It peaked at 15% in April, which was April 2020. So that unemployment rate dropped, right, to normal levels. Well, the number of borrowers in the program, that mortgage forbearance, also dropped. As of September 30th, there was just 1.5 million borrowers protected by the program. So again, looking at numbers, right? The forbearance program ends. People are going to have to start paying their mortgage, right? There's a lot of talk about millions of homes coming on the market because they weren't going to be able to make their mortgage payment. Well, put in perspective, at the peak, 7.2 million borrowers were taking advantage of the program. 1.5 million borrowers were still in the program as of September 30th, 2021. Now, here's what we know. Some of those borrowers will be ready to resume making their mortgage payments, and others will not. That's a fact. And so some of those homes absolutely will come on the market. What we know, though, is we should not expect a flood of foreclosures. Why? Why won't this time be like last time? What's different about this time on September 30th, 2021, with people that have not been making their mortgage payments?
Yeah, people have a lot more equity invested, so they won't need to sell.
Yeah, Ted and Matt and Aubrey, you're right. It's equity. The fact is this time there is literally billions and billions of dollars of equity for U.S. homeowners in their homes. So we're not going to expect the shock of supply undervalue, because people will be looking to get the equity out if in fact they're in a moment or in a space where they can't make their mortgage payments and need to again. Now, the opportunity for us as real estate agents is I assure you, we all know someone, whether we realize it or not, that was in that program. that actually may be in a spot where they can't make their mortgage payments, or they have decided right after 6, 7, 9, 12, 15 months of not making mortgage payments that their financial picture looks a lot better without that mortgage payment potentially. We don't know the underlying reasons why someone may choose to sell at this moment, but if we're not out reaching out, looking for people to potentially have that conversation with, well, they may list their home with someone else. So instead of foreclosing like the underwater 2008 homeowners, most people will list their home at what price? Market value. Market value. So good conversation to know for our buyers that have heard and seen reports in the media about the forbearance program winding down, people putting their home on the market. The fact is they're not gonna see a flood of REOs, or they're not gonna see a flood of foreclosures currently. Now, here's the other thing that is different this time than last time. The government is stopping that forbearance program and unwinding it. But unwinding means something different than last time. Let me share something with you. This was a graph that Forbes actually put out on their site, and it's a good visual of what's going on. Can you see that in front of you? Awesome. Okay, so on your screen shows the projected monthly exits from the mortgage forbearance program. So not every homeowner on September 30th needs to start paying their mortgage again. In fact, the government is having exits at the end of September, at the end of October, at the end of November, at the end of December, at the end of January, monthly exits. So you can see that in September, 452,000 borrowers will leave forbearance. That's followed by 287,000 in October. It's followed by about 180,000 homes in November. It's followed by 160,000 homes in December, 150,000 homes in January. So the reality is you're not going to see a wild influx of real estate listings in September, October, November, and December, and January, nor will you see it next year in the first and second quarter. Why? Because it's a wind down, not a release. It's interesting. They got a group of economists together, and so they looked at equity, they looked at unemployment, they looked at the borrowers that were still in forbearance, and the estimate is that about 25% of the 1.5 million borrowers set to leave forbearance over the next 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 months will opt to list their home for sale rather than resume mortgage payments. 25% of the 1.5 million borrowers. This fall, that would mean about 211,000 homes would enter the market that weren't on the market. Guys, that isn't nearly enough homes, right, for the country based on our need and our inventory levels. Even if none of them sold, we wouldn't go back to a balanced market with 25% of the 1.5 million borrowers or homeowners putting their home on the market. So interestingly enough, the forbearance wind down is probably all good news for us as real estate agents, because potentially there may be sellers out there that need your help. It may be good news for borrowers that at least some inventory is entering the market. But the fact is it's not going to change the industry. It's not going to change the environment of our pricing. It's not going to change a bubble or a not bubble. The reality is it's just a moment in time for us to look for opportunity of sellers that may be coming out of forbearance, that may not be able to make their mortgage payment. It's great content and context to share with our buyers that if they're waiting for an influx of listing, even 1.5 million borrowers in this country that were in forbearance isn't going to change the values of homes in 2021, 2022, or 2023. So I use that data both for for sellers to have that conversation with homeowners, but also to share that data with buyers as well, that may be sitting on the sidelines waiting for prices to drop, when while they're waiting, the mortgage rates are going up. Between April 2020 and April 2021, inventory across the country, and this is a countrywide data point, they say it actually plunged 53%, like it went down 53%. So interestingly enough, even if every one of those 1.5 million homes, right, came on the market, we're still okay, guys. Right? The market isn't even going to go back to 5 or 6 months of inventory, even if all of those in forbearance came. So more than anything, I wanted to just share this moment of conversation for sellers and buyers, understanding what's going on with that forbearance wind down, what that looks like month over month over month over month, some estimates of how many of those 1.5 borrowers might enter the market, knowing that some of the data out there is, man, over 7 million people took advantage of that program and were in forbearance. Understand at this moment in time, we're probably now at 1.3 or 1.2 million borrowers in forbearance as we speak. Fair? Questions about that before we switch gears and I share one more thing before we go?
Chris,
I'm not monitoring chat, but Leslie, go ahead.
Yeah, there's not comments. Well, and there was a conversation recently about the constitution of balanced market. You know, one of the things as you were talking about that I was thinking is 211,000 homes are not going to significantly change our inventory or our market. And on the flip side of that, my mind kept thinking, and this is true addition to our inventory, because these sellers are not going to become buyers. So it's not a one for one, like I'm going to sell and I'm going to buy, I'm going to take another house. So it was just a different way to think about it. It's not going to significantly change it, but this is actually an addition of true inventory with no reduction of inventory through a purchase.
Yeah, because the reality is there aren't too many options where someone is going to leave forbearance, still qualify for a brand new loan, or be able to downsize into something that they quote, feel more comfortable affording. Like the reality is they'll take the opportunity to sell, take their equity, and probably either move if they're moving, right, in migration or immigration in and out of states, take different jobs, move to different locations, rent for a period of time. So yeah, you're accurate, Leslie. It's not a one for one, which is good news actually for us, for sure, overall. But again, even as I look at that chart from September to July, phasing out all 1.5 million borrowers in forbearance as of September 30th, even if every month 25% of that inventory came on the market, it's healthier. It's a healthier way to do this forbearance wind down, by the way, guys, right? Loving government or not, the reality is 1.5 didn't get notice on September 30th, right? 480,000 did. So the fact is even if we look at this as a potential or possibility to add inventory to the market, that should be a welcomed conversation for us and a welcome program. And a great conversation piece for even grabbing that graph. We'll send it out in our recap, but grabbing that graph and using it as a conversation piece for buyers or sellers, or a touch point with our database to engage in conversation. Maybe asking if they know of someone that may need help as their forbearance is winding down. That's a fair question to ask, right? If anyone that they know is in forbearance and they want to take advantage of the equity that they've built, these are much better and more fun conversations that we get to have this year than we had in 2008 when the conversation was, how do we save you from foreclosure? This conversation is how do we save your equity, which is a positive conversation to have. Fair? Last thing I wanted to share. Oh, go ahead, Leslie.
Yeah, I was going to say, Chris, I think the opportunity exists in what are you going to do with this knowledge, right? We know that those people are out there. Helping them sell may not be enough. Being the solution provider or the assistance of, and what is next? You can't buy a home. Renting is going to be hard. How do we create and start solving those problems or those challenges for these individuals that are going to be making a transition?
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's fair. All right, last thing I wanted to share was a conversation I listened to, and it made me super proud of a lot of our agents that may be new to the network. Maybe you're new because you just started in this wild and incredible industry we call real estate. And sometimes we get overwhelmed. We look around ourselves, like we look around and say, well, this person is doing so good, or this person has such a phenomenal business, and why am I struggling right now? Should I be struggling? Everyone seems to be having the year of their life. And the reality is I heard a conversation with the former CEO of Pixar, Ed Catmull, and he has an expression that he uses a lot with his people in his organization back when he was leading Pixar, one of the greatest producers of movies of all times, quite honestly, whether you're an adult or a child, right? But he says this: we all start somewhere. We all start somewhere. He once said to a group of his illustrators and his employees, and it was, we might call it his state of the company, his all partner meeting. He said, you know what? We all start out ugly. Every one of Pixar's stories starts out that way. He said the earliest sketches of all of your favorite characters were awkward and uninformed. They were vulnerable. They were incomplete. And he said, I build a culture that fosters a space to create rubbish. And it's an interesting conversation, but he said, I understand that there would be no Buzz Lightyear without hundreds of awful ideas along the way. He says, Pixar is set up to protect our director's ugly baby. And I took a step back and I said, man, that's what a lot of our businesses look like. Like they're difficult and they're messy and we're just getting started and we really don't know what to say and we think we're messing up. And the reality is we have to create the space for each of us to be able to do that. We have to create a culture where when we see someone struggling, we say, hey, can I give you an idea? What if his helmet did not go on backwards, right? Like think about the early sketches of each one of those characters and what they became refined as, and that's your business, guys. That's our businesses. He said, Pixar is set up to protect our director's ugly baby. And you might be looking at your business right now and you say, man, this is my ugly baby. This is like, it definitely needs some work, but that's okay. He said in his company, giving ourselves permission to fail takes courage because it feels scary. It makes us vulnerable. The higher the stakes, the more courage is required. So given that a reserve of courage is limited, we need to find ways to experience and learn from failure as cheaply as possible. Now, I believe that happens by practice. I believe that happens by plugging in and training. I believe that happens by showing up, right? It's interesting as I look at attendance of our all partner meetings and our trainings and our classes, they don't continue to go up, although we continue to grow. So we have to be careful that we don't get to a place where we feel like, well, I'm beyond that. I've learned that. I'm good now. Because the reality is we all start somewhere, right? And I'll be honest, I feel like I'm just getting started, right? I believe I'm just getting started. So I'm plugging in and I'm learning almost every single day, some class, some mastermind, some collaboration. Like it is how we refine our drawing, if you will. It's how Sully became Sully, right? It's how Up got created. Man, if you look at the original drawings of the little boy and the husband and wife in that movie, they didn't look like they looked like in one of my all-time favorite movies. Like they were messy, guys. They were messy. Bringing it away from children's characters and into the sports world, which is always dangerous for me. But Michael Phelps' coach was Bob Bowman. Many people, right, have seen Bob Bowman speak or know of Bob Bowman because Michael Phelps, right, just incredibly decorated swimmer. But Bob Bowman said this about Michael Phelps. He said, training makes the physiological aspects of the race automatic. What does that mean? training makes the physiological aspects of the race automatic. How did that relate to Michael Phelps, or how does that relate to us, guys? Who wants to share? Yeah, Jet said it becomes automatic. Things become automatic. Eleanor, habits show up. Guys, training allows us to do the right thing in the moment, right? There's muscle memory, as Tina says. It makes the physiological aspects of the race automatic. We don't have to make decisions when the activity is going to last just 10 seconds or 15 seconds. Like if we have to think through things too much, it just means we didn't train hard enough before we got there. So as we head out onto more listing appointments than hopefully our organization collectively has ever gone on in the fourth quarter, understand, right? Set time to practice, set time to train, set time to get better and better at the presentation. Too many of us are going out and we're getting the appointment, but we're not closing the appointment because we're training on the job. And I'm a firm believer in on-the-job training, right? I believe that we get better every time we go out and present in real time. However, training matters. Bowman said what made Michael invincible was his rhythm of preparation. So here's what's so interesting, right? The guy coached the greatest swimmer of all times, arguably. And he said, you know what? Every single race that he got up on the block for, there were 2 or 3 people in that pool that could win. Like, you got to believe that. Like, if you're in a pool with Michael Phelps, like, you're competing at the highest level possible. At any point in time, in every single race, there was 1 or 2 people that could win. Guys, the same is true today in our business. The world has changed. Even the best real estate agents, right, who used to be able to walk into appointments and say, oh, this is hands down, I get to the table, I'm going to close. Some of us used to say that about ourselves. We thought that about ourselves. Man, now I get to the table, I'm going to close. Guess what? You are now losing to people that showed up in the industry 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago. And I think that's good. I think it's healthy. And why? Because they are training more than you are, right? Phelps just trained. He trained more than everybody. But there were always 2 to 3 people in the pool that could win. There are always 2 to 3 agents that your client knows and probably already called that could win. Everybody in the pool at that level is doing big things, guys. And everybody was training. Everybody had their mindset right. It just came down to the details. But he said this, when Michael trained, he didn't show up as a 4 or 5. Fact, he didn't show up as a 10 when he was training either. He said every day, no one does, it's okay. But he said he averaged being an 8. Like, he showed up and trained at an average of an 8. He never showed up as a 4 or 5. He might've had a 6 or a 7 day, but he had plenty of 9s and 10s, but he showed up consistently and trained. He just out-trained everybody. Could anybody have won at that moment? Yes, but he did every time, right? Almost every time. Why? Because he out-trained. So as we focus on listings, do not disconnect from the need to collaborate, to show up for training, to practice our presentation, to constantly review, what am I doing? Am I showing up as my best self? Have I trained and practiced and prepared for this presentation and this seller and this home, or am I just getting in the car and going out? Because I promise you, if we do that little by little, right? There are Michael Phelps all around us, right? There are Michael Phelps like sitting next to us on the block. There's a Michael Phelps coming in right after us or right before us on that presentation. And we'll go out on all the appointments and we'll get discouraged because we're not winning them. And the only reason why you're not winning them is because we didn't prepare. All right, guys, that's what I got. A little bit of numbers, a little bit of preparation as we power through this fourth quarter and the fourth quarter takeover here as we focus on building our listing inventory to build our businesses heading into 2022. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys. Stay tuned for more information on our wrap up on 3 amazing trainings coming your way. Talk to you guys all soon and have a powerful day.